once again to Mr. H's weekly recap, where we try to give you a rundown of what's happening in room 1925 here at E-Town High School. Really quickly before we get started, as we kind of get into now April and very soon into May, and as we start looking to the end of the year, just want to encourage both parents and students to make checking the portal a daily, if not a weekly thing. We're going to be getting very close to the end of the year very quickly. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on, a lot of mad dashes, so to speak, towards the end of the semester, not just in this class, but in a lot of classes across the high school. So we encourage students to be vigilant about what's on the portal, what's not on the portal, make up that work before the assigned due date, and make sure, stuff gets in and everything's ready to go. The worst types of conversations that I have is either with some of my seniors talking about the possibility of them not graduating at the end of the year, or with my honor students, the possibility of not passing the course simply because they just didn't turn work in. So please make sure you guys are being vigilant about that on the portal. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, email, and we'll try to keep you guys as best as we can in the loop. Let's talk a little bit about our Honors World, guys, to kind of start things off today. A lot going on in Honors World. We have our Unit 2 exam, which is going to be coming up this week. Students are kind of prepping and preparing for that. We did a little bit of a review project to kind of help in that preparation using an app called StoryMap.js. It's through Northwestern University, and basically what it does is basically creates annotated maps, captioned maps virtually so that students can interact with different items that we talked about in Unit 2 and create these kind of wonderful visual but also information-filled projects that include multimedia, video, all kinds of cool stuff. I've enjoyed kind of going through those projects and looking at them, and definitely we've tried to give pointers to students as well as they kind of work through those and kind of get their scores back. So feel free to check those out. We've posted a couple of them via social media. The other item that we're going to be working on this week is we're going to be starting our second DBQ writing, and this one's going to be more geared towards topographical matter from Unit 2, and the focus of this one is going to be on the English Civil War and the Enlightenment. And so we gave students kind of a more AP style question, so they're in the process hopefully this week of doing their first draft of that DBQ. And what they're going to be doing next week is basically be doing some peer evaluation. So they have a partner that they're going to be sharing their writing with, and those partners are going to act as kind of the first filter of sorts, where they're going to go through the essay, offer some pointers, give them kind of a starting grade to work off of using the DBQ rubric we've used on DBQ number 1. And then students will have an opportunity to kind of go back, amend, rewrite, kind of correct portions of their essay before they officially turn them into me, and then I'll give them the official grade from there, and we'll see kind of what time leaves us. So definitely, if your students are working on that, check in with them. If they have questions, they can always email me or stop by, and we can kind of work with them more one-on-one. The other item, and this is something looking to next month, is we are reaching the end of the semester, which means book reviews are going to be coming due. Students had this semester to kind of pick a book off of my book list and kind of do a little bit of a write-up on it. We are getting to that point now where students who have procrastinated are scrambling. So if your student has not picked a book, or even if you're not sure if they've picked a book, maybe check in with them and see what they're working on and see how they're going with that. And if they haven't picked a book, they need to pick one ASAP, just so they can kind of get it done and get the review done before the assigned due date. So a lot going on. We have some wrap up with our fantasy geopolitics season that's going to be coming here very soon. So a lot of stuff going on as we get into Unit 3, talking a little more modern history, talking about industrialization in the 19th century, talking about imperialism in the 19th century. Next week we have Dr. Kenley from E-Town College coming by to do a little guest lecture on imperialism in China, which is always kind of interesting. He's traveled extensively in that part of the world, so he always brings some great stories with that. So a lot going on as far as the honors class is concerned. For the Gov students, we're starting to get into a little bit of wrap-up mode here. We're in the second half of our Gov unit, talking a little bit about the 3 branches of government. We recently started to finish Article 1, which is the legislative branch. We'll be getting into the presidency a little bit later this week, talking about Article 2, and then next week we'll be getting into the judiciary. Since the judiciary is such a big kind of nebulous topic, especially in this part of the unit, we talk about civil law, criminal law. We talk a little bit about issues within the justice system. Some of them very topical, some of them more kind of stuff that you or I would remember from kind of our younger days. So it's a nice mix of different topics, and that's a great lead into our final unit with criminal justice. Students are going to be working on an online project through the free website Atavist, which is an online publishing site. And they're going to be doing a judicial reform project where they're going to research an issue within the justice system, whether it be a particular case, whether it be a particular topic like race or class, or they look at something a little more specific to the justice system like caps on damages when it comes to civil cases, or the legalization of marijuana or something along those lines. They're going to be presenting that back through this Atavist site in kind of a different way. New spin on the old kind of term paper that usually comes due at the end of each course. So check that out. Obviously we have some work days built into the schedule to kind of get students researched in and also tuned in with the site and ask questions if they need to. We're also in the process of finishing up a discussion on healthcare, and we've been looking at a frontline report called Obama's Deal, which basically walks us through kind of the passing of the Affordable Care Act, kind of looking at the role that lobbyists played, special interests, the compromises that had to be cut in order to get this bill through. And so that's been really interesting with the students kind of talking about some of those issues and getting their take on kind of how this issue related back to like 2009, 2010, now fast forward to today with President Trump and his new healthcare proposals, how that kind of looks similar and different to what we've seen in the case study. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me and we'll get those questions addressed. But we'll see you guys again next week.